ball striking skill. She had a very long tee shot into a lot of wind, and the fact that she hit it very high off the tee, so the fact she could hit it as far as she did into so much wind with that kind of height really shows me that she can generate a lot of turn and really move the ball out there. This putt here, down the hill, very little movement, just get it started.
Linn, not a member of the LPGA Tour, so has not played much at all over here. Joined the Korean LPGA Tour a few years ago and enjoyed a career best 6th on the money list a couple of years ago. And she will be a part of the weekend even with a 74. 68 yesterday put her in great position with a little bit of cushion. And back over to 9. Ewing for par. This is going to be a little tense here. Make it and you make the weekend, and Allie is in safely.
No sweat on that at all.
No problem.
I will say, coming off of an LPGA Tour win just 5 weeks ago, certainly still riding some confidence on the short putts.
I know you on for par. Now back over at 18.
Had a good look at this one with her caddy. Back down the hill. There's a little bit of left to right grain in this, which can certainly affect the ball quite dramatically as it runs out of speed.
Just 17 years old. And it's been a learning experience for her. 78 yesterday for her, 76 today, so.
And a lot of it is about learning how to play a little bit more conservatively. I think so many of these players, especially young amateurs out here, they've got the good shots down. They can play good enough, but it's about minimizing the bad shots. It's about learning how to protect yourself from the course conditions and when the course starts to speed up a little bit. And that's a lot of the learning curve that's going to happen for these amateurs and young players in the field this week.
So now Yui Kawamoto for par to make it on the number.
And Dan, I'm rooting for this one to go, and I have to say she drove it in the face of the bunker, the left fairway bunker here up against the lip. Took no time, just playing out sideways, and then we saw the spectacular third to this point. She also made a very solid par on 17, so she's doing everything she can here to make it to the weekend if she can just finish this one off.
We talked about how there's the most Swedes ever in a U.S. Women's Open Championship. That also is true for Japan. Japan has 18 players in the field, the most ever that they have had in this championship.
There's been an explosion over the last decade in Japan. Ai Miyazato was a standout 10 years ago, and Shibuno has created such buzz.
Safely in as Kawamoto. Their sigh of relief.
Yeah, got some fans out here too.
Yeah. Well, this is an interesting way to use the lines on the golf ball.
Yeah, or not use them per se. Some players get distracted by the line on the ball. If they stare down at it, that's all they look at instead of focusing on where their target is, which is the hole. So I don't fault her for not using the lines because it can be a distraction sometimes.
Well, she is safely in. The Japanese golfer along with Shibuno into the weekend at this U.S. Women's Open. Takahashi, speaking of another Japanese golfer, Sayaka Takahashi needs a par here to make it. She's at +3 as well, so we've got a lot of drama here for the field rounding out into the weekend.
And that was the challenge. That third shot was going to be the challenge for her. It's pretty straightforward, 2-putt, and maybe have a good look at birdie there.
Back over to the Jackrabbit.
Yeah, the final group of the 10th tee, Yuka Saso with her 4th at the 9th, all downhill to the hole from here. And she will have that for par to post 2 under. It's going to be
won that 2019 AIG Women's Open. She became the 2nd Japanese to win a major on either PGA Tour or the LPGA. Chako Higuchi won the 1977 LPGA Championship. So maybe some more rare history is in the making for another Japanese golfer this weekend in Houston, Texas.
And she really caught the golf world by storm with her smile and her character, and coming out of nowhere, the underdog of the week when she won the Women's Open. And we've seen this resurgence of golf in Japan. Such a popular sport already, but even more media here this week and more interest in what the Japanese players are doing.
In the meantime, back over to Sasso, Tom.
Who's had a really good championship so far and has this to finish off with a round of 71 over on the Jackrabbit course. The players only play the Jackrabbit once, and it'll all be on Cypress Creek for the weekend. Yeah, nicely done there. Didn't want to drop a shot on the par 5, so a couple of wins on the JLPGA this year for Yuka Sato. She's been in some good form. She's up to 50th in the world and in the hunt at a major championship. Let's go back over to 9 on the other course.
And back over here to the par 5, and here is Takahashi for birdie. Again at +3, just a 2-putt here, and you're okay to make it into the weekend. Just filling out the Japanese note we were talking about as far as major championships go. Ayako Okamoto lost a playoff to Laura Davies back in the 1987 U.S. Women's Open for another close call for Japan in a major. So Japan faring very, very well. Sayaka Takahashi, just 22 years old, playing her way into the weekend in her championship debut. This is Ina Kim Shad for par. Not going to be a part of the weekend.
No, but a great showing from the U.S. mid-amateur champion. Actually was a tremendous junior player. Was runner-up in the junior girls back in 2000. Gave up golf for 11 years. Entered the world of finance. Traveled the world doing that. And then her now husband got her back into the game just a couple of years ago.
And probably the most stylish, or one of the most stylish here. I mean, she had a rockin' outfit every day, including the practice rounds. And we got another par putt here by Nuria Iturrioz. Went out 41 today, needed better than that. Was right there at even par after a 71 yesterday over Jackrabbit, but shot her way out of it. So Iturrioz with an 80, 9 shots worse than she had yesterday, when it looked like she was going to make it.
But still got a smile on her face.
Yeah, it's nice to see. So the last competitor here with a chance to make the cut before we take you to our tape coverage from earlier today. Again, our broadcast window of live golf shrunk down today because the tee times were moved up, in trying to avoid the weather that we still expect the worst of is going to come in a little bit. So we've been coming on the air in a broadcast window with the live golf that was left, and so plenty more good tape golf than just earlier today in the second round. And it'll tell you how the leaders got into the positions they are in right now, with Shibuno on top by 3. You'll see Linn Grant as well, the amateur. Caitlin Papp, another amateur in that coverage, and safely in is Takahashi with a 72, right on the number.
Second to the 17th.
164 as the rain starts to fall. Fairly heavy. Pretty coming off disappointing short miss at the previous hole, looking to release something back there to this hole location. Looks like a good club selection from here.
Yeah, really good from back here as well. Perfect line for Brittany Lincecum, and a great chance for a birdie to get it back to level par for the day. Let's go over to the front 9 to number 3.
This is the short par 4, and Lindsay Weaver, who's got it to 2 under, just 3 back as she plays her second 9 of this second round. Wow.
Great shot. It's one of the more birdie opportunities on the golf course. Players trying to take advantage of the short length of that golf hole.
Back to 17.
And one of the great stories of the championship so far, Christy Kerr.
Yeah, good discipline with your target here.
Yeah, absolutely. Got really banged up in a golf cart accident last week, but she is playing some good golf. She has been rock solid today. The kind of play that you want to have in the U.S. Open. She's hitting it where she's looking. Of course, she's always rolling the putter well, and she appears as though she's going to be a force this week.
I was very upset yesterday talking about the incident with the media, explaining what happened coming out of the golf cart. She was really shaken up. And that is going to leave Christy with a good chance for a birdie, her second birdie of the day. Let's go over to the 7th.
Choi from the dormant Bermuda with her second shot at +1.
A really narrow green and approach. Falls off a little bit to the right where the hole location is, but that was excellent on accuracy, and she'll at least have a look at birdie. You can see just the speed of these greens and how quick they are, even with a little bit of moisture on them right now. Still very speedy.
Tough start for Hye-Jin Choi with a double at the first. Came back with a birdie, and it's coming off bogey at 6. As you take a look at this sharp dogleg short par 4 to the right. And this is Brooke Henderson coming off a birdie at the 6th at even par. Sister Brittany manning the umbrellas, as you heard earlier. As Bones said, the rain has arrived. It was in the forecast throughout the week, and it's just a matter of how hard it gets. Maybe some electricity in the air a little bit later on, but we'll wait and see.
Target will be just at the edge, right after that TV tower. Safe.
And Brooke will have a good look from there for another birdie as we head over to Jackrabbit, Tom.
Yes, and this is Linn Grant, one of the great stories so far from the amateur ranks, looking for 3 birdies in a row, and I think she may have had it if she just hit it. Birdied 8 and 9, so that's a par, and she will remain at 4 under. And we'll stay over here at the Jackrabbit course. We'll go back a couple of holes to the 8th, and Hinako Shibuno leading the US Women's Open at 5 under, her second. And that is going to fade away. That's one of the features of this golf course. The greens are set up a little bit, and the ball is rejected away if you miss them.
And a reminder,
the green at the last hole, but followed that up with a nice drive. It's left her in the dead center of the fairway. 179 yards back to that very back hole location. Moria's got a 6-iron. Trying to bring it in a little from the left. Finds the surface, but a pretty decent distance away from the hole.
and over at the 6th, second for NB Park, 2-time U.S. Women's Open champion, sitting at under par, 1 under on her second round.
Difficult to get to this whole location. Green falls off to the right and disappears to the left, and as you can see, guarded by the bunker as well. Not a lot of room for error.
And short-sighted as well over there. And back to the 3rd for Weaver. Not much left for another birdie here to get to 3 under, but it was right all the way. And back to 17.
Yeah, you can see the rain falling there. A good idea of how heavy the rain's coming down. And Christy Kerr with a good look at birdie here. Bones?
Yeah, shouldn't be a whole lot of movement in this, Tom. Quality second shot, getting it back here to pin high. And one thing she may want to factor in here, she's putting towards a part of the green where a penalty area lies just through the green on her side. So sometimes the water will drain off that part of the green and make putts like this a little bit faster.
Asking for it to break towards the hole, and it just stayed out there. So that's going to be a 4 for Christy. Let's go to the 8th on the Jackrabbit course. Check in with the defending champion, Jung-Eun Lee 6, who has this for birdie. Started the day a couple over.
Last 5 years, Michelle Wee West, who won at Pinehurst in 2014, just outside the top 10 the following year. So not an easy championship, at least in recent years, to follow it up with. Here's Ariya Jutanugarn, who was on that list. Amazing club. You'll receive access to exclusive content, merchandise, offers, and more as you look to get closer to the action at the U.S. Open. Become a part of the Victory Club, the official home of U.S. Open fans. Brooke Henderson looking for birdie to get into red figures at the 7th. This would be 3 in the first 7 holes for Brooke. You can see how quick this putt is. She just touched it, but that is not even going to get close.
I don't even know what to say. Obviously very fooled by that read.
Over to you, Tom.
Here we saw Hinako Shibuno miss the green at the 8th over on the left side, chip to here. So this to save par, to stay ahead. So she's going to fall back. And I think I can't see many players having the chance to get away from the pack here with the difficulty of these courses. And Shibuno back into a tie for the lead with an amateur. Linn Grant tied for the lead now as we go back over to the 6th on Cypress Creek.
And look at the stance here, Paige, for MB.
Yeah, the tendency here for the heel to catch, so it's about keeping that blade open. Good enough.
Absolutely. So a chance to save it on the short side there and remain at 1 under.
Yeah, and the key here is making sure you grip down enough on the club. A lot of times those practice swings are actually a different angle than addressing the ball. So keeping it gripped up enough to keep that heel from catching in that rough.
Up to 18. It's a 402-yard par 4 today. Brittany Lincecum bones on the tee. She's got some power and has the big stick.
Yeah, she's going to need it. It's right back into a pretty stiff wind at the moment. Taking it up the right edge, grabs the tee, loves it, drawn back into the right center of the fairway.
And that is a perfect drive for Brittany Lincecum. And there's the sign right behind the tee at 18. Winning the U.S. Women's Open has always been my most cherished accomplishment in golf. And the great Mickey Wright, who we lost earlier this year, won this championship 4 times. The most by any player in history. And Christy Kerr hoping to get her name on the trophy for the 2nd time. And what a week this could be for Kerr with the injuries that we've documented. Also want to mention that Betsy Rawls also won 4 of these championships. One had a sweeter swing than Mickey Wright. She lived in Port St. Lucie, and it was a big loss for this game. But what a tribute to her.
And really the importance of the USGA in her life, and that she would entrust them with all of her possessions.
This is Ariya Jutanugarn from long range, up and over the ridge at 15 for birdie. That is a good effort there. Should be able to save her par and remain at 3 under. And we go to her sister Ariya over at the short par 4, where she will have a good look here for birdie to get it into red figures, where she started the day after her opening round 70 yesterday. Yeah.
We've seen such an up and down Ariya Jutanugarn over the last couple of years. Good to see her kind of rise to the occasion in this championship. You see those moments where you do need the light switch to get her turned on and excited and focused in playing.
Over at 15, Jennifer Kupcho, 1 under par, looking to get the 2 under. Has parred every hole so far today in her 2nd round, and will make it another one here. 6 straight to start the 2nd round. Kupcho faring a lot better than Maria Fassi.
So far
on this championship. The 2 battling at the Augusta National Women's Amateur last year. As we shift back over to the Jackrabbit.
Yeah, bad layup by Amy Olsen. She had to take an unplayable, and she is now playing her 4th shot. So problems here for Amy Olsen, who had that terrific day yesterday, leading coming into this 2nd round. The flag today cut over on the right side of the green, and the bush there you can see behind her was where she had to take the unplayable from, and took 2 club lengths, but still pretty close to the branches there, able to make a swing though. So she's got plenty of green to work with here. but is looking likely to drop a shot. And a couple of bogeys already, a couple of birdies on this front nine for Amy Olsen. So she's at 4 under where she started the day. Back over to Cypress Creek to the 4th.
And Lindsay Weaver on the tee, 169 yards across this Cypress Creek.
Great shot. Anywhere landing it between the hole location and the front of the green is going to produce a good one. And have a birdie opportunity like that on the 4th hole, you're stealing half a stroke.
Up to the 8th.
Brooke Henderson on the tee. Sister Brittany, a trusty long-time caddy.
And a good player in her own right, Tom, huh? I mean, for a while it was like, okay, we're just going to do this for a while. I'm going to maybe try to give the sport a go in my own right, well, Brittany, but this thing has worked out pretty good, this partnership.
It has, and actually I remember when Brittany received a sponsor invite to play in Portland on the LPGA Tour, and I think the tournament officials were hoping that Brooke would go and try to Monday qualify, which of course she did, and ultimately ended up winning that golf tournament twice in her career.
I believe she flew through the night to make the Monday qualifier, ended up winning the tournament. But they've been a good pair.
It's neat because they see the golf course differently. Brittany is a lot more methodical. She thinks it through. Brooke is very reactionary, sees her targets and goes. So it's a complementary partnership.
Should congratulate Brittany on getting married recently to one of the LPGA media officials, Zach Sapanek. It's pretty daring. I mean, it doesn't need to pitch too much shorter, and it's flirting with the penalty area, but a good chance for birdie now for Brooke as we go to 18.
And Christy Kerr right in the middle of the fairway bones at 18.
Yeah, 160 total, and I got to give Christy credit. She is moving it out there off the tee. She's just a few yards behind Britsy Lincecum, who seemed very happy with her drive. Wind back in her face. Again, just as you want to do the U.S. Open, kind of plodding along fairways, greens, and you know, looking for those opportunities when she gets a very makeable putt that she can take a rip at. But nothing wrong with making pars out here.
And Christy, 43 years old, oldest in the field.
Turning over just right of the flag, looking for a bounce.
Of course, she doesn't like to be reminded of that.
It's a badge of honor. It is.
Back across the street.
Second at the par 3, having missed the green at 11 for Linn Grant. Remember, she played very well over the first couple of days of the 2018 U.S. Women's Open.
Well, I spoke with her college coach, ASU, Missy Farkay, back when she was just a freshman, and she actually compared her to Anna Nordquist. They have the same kind of methodical way which they go about, doesn't make a lot of mistakes, but she'll have her hands full on that par save.
Amy Olsen for a par, this would be a really good 5. But it is going to be a bogey for Amy, and it's going to be the 3rd bogey of the day. There's certainly going to be nerves for Amy Olsen, even though she has a lot of experience, and we talked yesterday about her chance to win a major at Evian the year that Angela Stanford won a couple of years ago. This is a huge stage and a huge opportunity, and she said yesterday after her round, she talked about the fact that she felt like she would have won early in her career when she came out onto the tour, but it hasn't happened. So we go over to 18.
And Brittany Lincecum, who pounded it down here in good shape from 152. Coming off her 2nd birdie at 17. That comes up well short.
Yeah, it's hard to get too aggressive with this whole location because it does have a little bit of a downslope up next to the hole.
And back at 16, the 169-yard par 3. This is the hole that Amy Olsen aced yesterday, Kay.
It definitely feels like a birdie hole when you're sitting up on this tee with just an 8 or 9 iron. And for Moria, it will be an 8 iron. Really hardly any wind blowing right now. And there's a ball on the green that is cup shows. Hit a nice shot hole high left with an 8 iron. So I think she can try to go right at this flagstick, see how accurate she can get. Pulled it a bit trying to cut it back.
Good shot. And there's the Kupcho tee ball right there, also with a good look at birdie.
Certainly, you can feed off your other player in your group if they're both playing well.
Back over to Jackrabbit.
Yeah, shot 69-72 in the first 2 rounds in 2018 to be in a tie for fourth, but fell away over the weekend, 78-81. Certainly has had some experience at the top or near the top of a leaderboard in the US Women's Open. Played a couple of majors back in 2018. Also played the AIG Women's Open.
Got her hands full here, and important as well. Kind of in the beginning of the round, making these par saves. You don't want to beat yourself. She gave herself an okay look up near the green.